I have found, and I think you'll agree with me by the end of this, I have found that we can boil down not just the ideas of liberty, but how we can win for liberty into an idea that just about every single person agrees with. And that word is respect. I'm going to prove it right now. Thank you. I'm going to prove it right. By the way, anytime you want to clap, I will stop, okay? This is a... Thank you for that completely unprompted applause. I appreciate that. I'm going to prove it right now. Who here is against respect? There we go. The thing is, we all intuitively understand that respect is good, but I'm going to go even deeper with this. To be here at Students for Liberty, to leave wherever you live and to come here, interacting with everyone here and then going home, you will likely interact, not just here, but everywhere that you've had to go to get here and back home. You will have to have interacted with thousands, tens of thousands, possibly even hundreds of thousands of people that you've been in close proximity to. And the vast, vast majority of all of those people that you interact with are complete and total strangers. You know nothing about them. You don't know what their values are. You don't know what their aims are. You don't know what they have planned. And yet, for the most part, you have been able to come here and go back home, and you have a reasonable, relatively reasonable expectation that you are safe. The reason that we have that, and it's that expectation that allows us to thrive. It is that expectation that we are relatively safe that allows us to be able to be as prosperous and harmonious and happy as we are. Well, what is that expectation? We have an expectation that that just about every single one of those people will have a basic level of respect for us as individual human beings, and that we in turn will have that same respect for them. Now, when I say respect, I don't mean that they like you or care about you or agree with you or even know anything about you. You don't know anything about them, so you might not care about them any more than you care about any other person. But you have a basic intrinsic level of respect for them as an individual human being. It is why you don't stomp on them the same way you might step on an ant that you're walking by. It's because you recognize that they're human beings and that therefore you're not going to hurt them. You're not going to rob them. You're not going to assault them. You're not going to kill them. You're not going to do anything else to them. And in turn, you expect that from them. We talk a lot about high trust societies and how they're safer and people are happier in them. Well, high trust of what? Trust that there is a basic level of individual human respect that everyone or just about everyone in that community or that neighborhood or that country or society or whatever else have for one another. Now, this is something that intuitively, intrinsically makes sense to the point to where we don't even really think about it. I could say this to a 7-year-old, hey, if you respect other people and they respect you, then that's good, right? And they'll say, yes, of course. Everyone knows this. And yet, so many of us, no one in here, of course, we're all very, very smart, but so many of us will put that expectation aside for the government. The government is just people. The government is people like everyone else in here. Might be a couple lizards, but for the most part, they're human beings just like you and me, thank you. For the most part, they are human beings they are all human beings, let's be clear. I want to be clear. I have no evidence that any of them are lizards. And so these are human beings who, if they were not acting in that capacity as a government official, a politician, a law enforcer, a bureaucrat, whatever their position is in the government, if they were acting outside of that capacity, we would expect them to respect us. If that same person were walking down the road and they walked up to you and said, give me 25% of everything you have on you, or I'm going to make your life really difficult, you're going to fight back. You're going to ask for help. You're going to run away. Or if you do give to them, it's going to be completely under duress and you're going to report them to someone. But if that same person gets up behind a really nice podium like this and says, folks, I have some fantastic news. You've seen this before. I have some fantastic news. I am going to provide you with the things that you need, and I'm only going to have to increase taxes by 25%. We are levying a new 25%, and of course, the unspoken there is you're going to have problems if you don't pay it. Now, we recognize what that is. It's no different than the person walking up to you and saying, you have to give to me. But many other people look at that and go, 25%, man, that's going to be rough. I wonder what we're going to get in exchange for it. Or they might say, you know what, I'm sick of all these taxes. I'm not going to pay any more of it. I'm going to go speak to someone about it. They're not fighting. They're not coalescing to do anything other than to essentially ask them not to do it because they don't have they have put aside that expectation, that basic expectation that someone in that position over here doesn't have to have the same respect for them as an individual human being, and therefore not to rob them and take from them as they would if the person was just standing here, not wearing a fancy suit like this and saying, "Hi, my name's Bob." That is the difference here. And it is that setting aside of that expectation, or that contextualization of that expectation, that allows government to be as tyrannical as it is. Very often, they don't have to use force. They just have to use the presumed authority that people give them. And this is what we at our core as libertarians understand. Wherever they are, podium, not podium, anything else, whether they're politicians, whether they are employees of the government, or whether they're just everyday people like you and me, they have to respect us the same as they would outside of that capacity.